Hey friends. So I've been struggling to read tarot for myself lately. The practice has just felt like really far away, and I think that like taking a break from teaching tarot and from doing my seasonal yoga and tarot workshops, you know, I'm taking the break because I'm working on a book, and I needed time to like dive back into my own practice. And then it turns out like that's really hard, and I have a lot of work to do and a lot of like, I don't know, just like realities of my world the past year or so that like I don't want to accept. Like the cards I pull keep being this like same thing that I'm like, yeah, but what about something else? What about something else? And it's so funny because tarot is like that. It's a mirror. It's not going to show you shit that's not there. It's not going to stop giving you cards that like remind you what path you're on, or what threads need untangling, or what relationships are, again, holding the mirror up. So I just wanted to hop on here while I was shuffling my cards and saying that out loud to sort of encourage you to come back to your practices, whatever they are. That you don't have to do it perfect to do it. Oh, some cards jumped out. You don't have to do it perfect to do it. And I'm gonna pull 10 cards because I'm gonna do like a big picture spread, like sometimes called like a Celtic cross spread. That again, I don't normally do. Like I'm usually an intuitive, like more of an intuitive reader. I pull cards as it feels right, or you know, or I'll do like a past, present, future spread, or I have like my own spreads that I've developed. My book is coming out, don't worry, someday. But I'm gonna do a more traditional spread because like I was saying, when we come back to our practices, I think sometimes we think we have to be reinventing the wheel instead of just showing up, just putting in the work, just doing the dishes, just, you know, watering the plants, just pulling cards, right? So I'm going to pull 10 cards to give myself a big picture spread because maybe that will help me contextualize, which is, for me, part of what helps with tarot so much is that it gives me a lens to sort of look through and process in a more creative way and in a more open-ended way. I think a lot of times when we're going through personal stuff, it's easy to think that it's totally unique, that no one could ever understand, that I've never been through this before, I'll never get through it again. And really, like, we humans we love spirals and cycles, right? We're just on the loop. So yeah, so I decided to pull some cards and talk about what's going on for me a little bit and share with all of you. So I'm gonna pull 6 more cards because I think there was 4 that popped out of there. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm gonna randomly pick some from the end. 9, 10, and I'm gonna keep those 9, 10 at the end there. These are gonna go on top. All right, I'm gonna go spread the cards out. I'll see you in a second. All right, so I've laid my cards out. This deck is the Tarot for All Ages. I love it. I love the artwork. I love the way that it has been, the deck has been modernized, but I feel like it has not lost meaning. Instead, it has enhanced it. So I've got my cards out here. So in a traditional spread like this, we start with a card that is like at the heart of the matter. It's at the focus. It's where you are. It's like where your question is coming from. And then this card that blocks it is like the obstacle and the way through. It's like the Ganesh card for my yogi friends. So first we'll flip this guy. And I'm going all uprights today because I read upright and inverse with every card, especially when I give myself a reading like this, unless it feels intentional. All right, so at the heart of the matter, we have greed. Cool. Oh, and the obstacle on the way through is the tower? Okay, rude. So in this deck, this is the devil. Greed is the devil. And I really love this illustration and this idea of this card and this state of being is more about being overly attached to things, to status, to false ideas about ourselves, to ego, and being trapped by our own attachments to things. You know, this is a card that's a lot about this is a card that's about like letting go of things that don't help us, about habits that we think keep us safe, but actually are like keeping us stuck. Maybe they did keep us safe, but like when I think about the devil, when I think about greed, when I think about this card, a lot of times I'm thinking about like, how can I unlearn the bullshit that keeps me where I feel like I have no options. Like this is a card of a very contracted, limited viewpoint. I will only ever feel this way. I'm only my mistakes. I don't deserve better. What if I change and it's worse, right? So I guess just like what I was saying at the beginning of my video, this card is at the heart of my situation, that I feel like I don't have the tools I have all this stuff, but I don't have the tools to succeed. That maybe I am against myself in ways I don't mean to be. You know, and where are we, like, and then what's going to either get me through this situation or keep me stuck in this situation is the Tower. The thing about the Tower is that it was already coming down. And for me, and I'm just going to speak personally because I'm giving myself a reading on the internet, which is super vulnerable, it turns out, is that like I'm just going to be really, like I said, personal. Like the relationships I've lost this past year, there's been a few very important relationships in my life that do not exist right now. Is that like maybe there were more problems in them than I let myself see. Like if we're talking about this, like overly attached to the idea of something, or to like like if I can just accept that maybe these relationships weren't serving me anyways, which hurts. Like it hurts to think about that because these are people that I really love, love, not just loved, right? Like people that I really love, and that we're not, like, our values aren't aligning right now. Our ability to communicate during conflict isn't aligning. My ability to put myself or my family like secondary to other people's emotional states is like not something I can do anymore. It's just not. And so at the heart of the matter, there's this dysfunctional relationship that was like already on its way out. It's almost like I feel like I lost something suddenly, but it was coming down for a while. And hindsight is always like that, right? Like especially around cards like this, like the Devil, the Tower, it's always like, oh my God, why didn't I see that coming? And it's like, because it's the human condition to believe that things will come through the other side, especially in long-term relationships, right? Like that's one of the reasons we have long-term relationships, is we're willing to invest and stick through stuff. So like maybe the thing that's going to keep me stuck is thinking that I didn't know it was coming, or like that I was blindsided, when really when I sit and look, there's like a lot of other things that would need addressing to repair, you know, like not the things even that happened that caused the breakup, but like the other stuff. Fuck. And so then in a spread like this, below is going to be like what's hidden or at the root, or what's underneath this stuff. Okay. I was like, I really need a good slap in the face from tarot. So here I am. Rebirth, death. I just adore this imagery of the butterfly coming out of the cocoon, completely changed. The caterpillar is not a butterfly. The butterfly is not a caterpillar. And maybe what is at the root of this is that I am the person that changed. And like, I don't think I changed for the worse. And it is super painful to think that the ways that we evolve and grow and thrive do not fit or benefit relationships that we've had for a long time. And I know one of the big things in my life has been unmasking and accepting that there are things about me that are different, and that is one of my superpowers, that like it's not bad or wrong or something I need to hide from the whole world, which is like what I thought my whole life. And that's been unlearning people pleasing. Being able to advocate for myself, even as something as simple as like my schedule, my time, my emotional availability. And when you've been pleasing people by diminishing your own needs for a really, really, really long time, when you start to stand up for yourself or when you start to prioritize those needs, it will affect these other relationships that were maybe built on things that aren't even there anymore. Like the caterpillar's not even here. I've been talking a ton in my yoga teaching lately about goo state, which is when all of the genetic material for the butterfly and the caterpillar are just like liquid in the cocoon. And if you ripped that cocoon open, you wouldn't get a butterfly or a caterpillar. You'd just get goo. And all of that genetic material is in there, like working its magic to create something new. I feel like at the root of it, I've been in goo state for a while. I had a baby who's a toddler who's watching TV while I do this right now. Like, what? He's a whole person. And like, I don't think I was very kind to myself about that. I think I sort of demanded I become the butterfly quickly. And as we know, like, transformation just takes as much time as it takes. And so as we move around the reading, we next come to like, what do we need to be aware of? Or like, what should we look to? What should we focus on? Like, what does this reality, this obstacle in the way through, this subconscious or like root belief or reality? Oh, the Two of Cups. And I really was like, don't cry during the tarot reading. Like, don't cry on camera. And I'm like trying to suck the tears back into my eyes so I can just talk, you know? But Two of Cups is about focusing on relationships that fill you. And I think the reason that I'm crying right now is because I was like so afraid that I wouldn't have connections like these other ones ever again, or that it was a reflection of my ability to connect that I lost them. One of the beautiful things about this card is the idea that we can't pour from an empty cup, that this type of deep, deep soul exchange is reciprocal. When people think of the Lovers card, like colloquially, they're probably really thinking about Two of Cups. Lovers is really about like your relationship to the world. Two of Cups is about our relationship to each other and about how we need each other. Like this is a card of not codependence. This is a card of dependence, but like in that beautiful way where like we need each other, we need community, we need connection. So I guess that's it. It's like, I feel like I don't even need to flip the rest of the cards, even though I'm going to, you know, like this is what to focus on, are the places that fill your cup, that you don't feel drained by, that you feel like you can refill from and fill readily. And it's funny because I have that, you know, like I have some people, some really, really solid folks that like, anyways, this is just always a mirror. Okay, so as we come up the top, This is almost like what has happened recently that like called you into this reading? Like, where have you found that? Beautiful. So this deck is one of the decks that renames the court cards. Page, Knight, Queen, and King is not only gendered, but it's like feudalism, right? And so it's hard for folks to sometimes like read between the lines or insert their own language. So I like it when decks do this. And when it's interesting. Sometimes I don't love the swaps. I do in this one. Their Page is Apprentice. Their Knight is Steward. Their Queen is Guardian. And their King is Sage. I like to think about the court cards as ways that we have integrated these elemental aspects of our personality. The element of fire here in Wands, of your will, your drive, what moves you through the world. That the Guardian of Wands is like kind of like how we like protect our energy. It's how we, like, Queen of Wands is a card. Queen of Wands is a card of independence that does not shirk interdependence. It is not the type of independence that says, I don't need you. It's the type of independence that says, like, we need each other and I need myself. This is a card that nurtures that. This is a card about knowing how to like listen to and respect other people's worldviews and perspectives without it either like untethering, unsettling, or like dissuading your own. In fact, it's the idea that like multiple points of view will strengthen your perspective. That like I learn about myself and how I want to live in the world through everyone else I come into contact with. And like recently that has been like, I mean, I was just talking about it before, about unmasking, about like my work in the world and like what type of responsibility I have to that and to myself and to the people I work with. Again, and if we're looking at this, hold on. So something I like to do as a reading unfolds is look at how the cards interact with each other. And if I'm looking at like what happened recently, this sort of situation I'm in, the way through, what to look at and what's beneath it, it's like this change, this deeply personal evolution is what like is beneath this aspect of my personality evolving and integrating. And so it's like, okay, so here we go. What comes next? Which tarot, you know, is not always a tool for divination, but in readings like this, we get to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, like, what is ahead? Surrender. The Hanged One. We just let go and let God, you know? And I don't mean Judeo-Christian God, just for anyone who needs to hear that. You know, this card is all about release into reality. Like we can let go or be dragged. If this figure fights the birds, they won't carry them over the water. You kind of just have to James and the Giant Peach yourself across the sea. It's like this card is telling me I have to be okay with not knowing, or like not having resolution, or not sort of being able to imagine my future with these people like I always did. Like I kind of have to be okay with that, even though I'm not okay with that. And one of the things I like about this card is that it offers a shift in perspective. Like, what can you only view about this situation from being upside down in it? And for me, the reading we've just had says it all, you know? Like, I just have to be okay with not being okay, which fucking sucks, right? Like, who wants to do that? Not I. And so what does this message have to tell me? What do these cards have to say? Because this is the mirror. This is what I already knew and already understood about my situation. And so like, what does it want to tell me? What do I want to tell myself? Oops. Oh, that the end is always a new beginning. The advanced beginner's mindset, the idea that like we always come back to ourselves on this journey, that like we're never looking for something that isn't already with us. Like the Fool is with us through this entire tarot story we tell, because the Fool is like our eternal state of forgetting and remembering. It's like we get so bogged up with shit. We get so bogged up with how we imagine ourselves to be, with how we imagine our situations, our relationships to be, how we cling to things that used to help us or serve us or pour into our own cup, that like, it doesn't matter if it comes down, because at the end of the day, like the you that exists beyond the roles you play, the relationships you have, is like always there. You are always growing and evolving and on your own path. These cards have a message for me that I am just on the road. Like I don't need to know where I'm going. I don't need to control it. That it's happening already. And that this is a new era for me, which I totally feel. Like I feel like a different freaking person than I was a year ago. And I feel like a different person than I was even like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I mean, that's the human condition, but really, really, I feel new right now. And it's affirming to be like, yeah, this is new. This is new for you. And this next card is like, it's like how you see yourself. And it's interesting too, because there's this like, there's this sort of, you know, what to be aware of and what's coming next. And like how you, like if we look at it like in a line here, and it's like, this is how you're like seeing yourself. Ooh, traumatized. But really, this card has a lot to do with our sense of justice, right and wrong, how we're hurt, how we're healed. This card is a lot about, and this imagery, like weighing the heart and the head, how moral and ethical dilemmas show up in your life and will always show up in your life, and how your current life circumstance has affected how you weigh those things, and like how you how you handle big decisions or issues that come up. And for me, and for a lot of people, when we have had trauma, this sense of judgment of self gets affected. How we view the things we do. Like when I mess up, it is a moral failing. When other people mess up, oh, everyone messes up. Like this card for me is a lot about like recalibrating my sense of self. In this bigger picture of this reading, the idea that I'm seeing myself at this turning point, kind of like, it's like I've been invited to step up into another level of integration of the work I've been doing, like to heal my trauma, to be a better communicator, to be a good parent and friend. So in the Tarot for All Ages book, the author, I'm actually not sure who the author of this deck is, but the author calls these last two placements like a wish, which is so interesting to think about. I don't think I wish for things a lot. And then like a possible outcome. So let's see, what do I wish? What's a wish? Oh, to have a better brain. Okay, so I say that I don't wish a lot, but I do chant mantra, and a lot of times it's like praying, right? It's like, and it's interesting because like, again, I've mentioned this earlier in this video that like, I'm not talking about Western Judeo-Christian praying or God. And a lot of times I think that in our culture, prayers get equated with wishes or like requests. It's like making a list for Santa, kind of. And one of the mantras that I practice a lot is an invocation for change. It's asking that everything is self-generative and that so am I, that I don't need these ideas about myself or these specific things that I think make me who I am. That I have the power, like we all do, like all things have, to be self-generative, to be able to look inside and still see myself even when I'm feeling really lost or bogged down. And the Ace of Swords is like it's like a strike of lightning in the dark. I can't unknow. It's like, may my wish be clarity. May I receive more clarity about what is mine and what is other people's bullshit. When I look at this reading, like it's almost like if we look at all these pictures together, this transformation and this Ace of Swords both have that really dark background. They have this idea of like being self-generative, like from the ether, from the muck, from the mire comes clarity. And that like I get this clarity by letting myself be changed. The wish, like my hope, like what I would dream up for myself is already here. Right? It's like I wish for understanding about myself that only I can give myself, that I don't need permission to know or understand, which so often feels that way. And so finally, what is one possible outcome of this situation? Ooh, the Six of Wands. You know, and like one way to think about this is that any card you pull is one possible quote unquote outcome, because again, these cards are mirrors. Like you might look in the mirror and see this, and this card is about like rethinking the way we approach obstacles. It's about reframing our view, our perspective. We've had some of that in this reading. It's about like your vantage point. Are the challenges in your life obstacles to overcome, or are they the things that are going to keep us fucking stuck? And like Six of Wands is a card that like asks us to pause, which is interesting. You know, we had that with the Surrender card as well, this idea of just taking a moment to look at what you've done, to look at the things that have been challenging for you, and then in spite of, and not just in spite of, but because of those things, what have gotten you to where you are today. Because like, I would really love to have these situations be reconciled in my life, whatever that means or looks like. And I just might not ever get it the way that I want it, the way my brain really wants to sort things into yes and no categories. This might just be gray. A possible outcome might be that I have to, like, it's not a possible outcome, it is the outcome. The outcome is that I have to be okay with it. I don't want to say I wouldn't trade this situation, because like, I wish for reconciliation. I wish that it wasn't like this. However, the things that I have learned about myself through this situation, I wouldn't trade. The me I've evolved into this year is who I am. It's not like better or worse. It's just reality. It's just me. And I like me. And it's okay that other people don't like me. I hate that for us. But like I said, I like who I am. And I have relationships that really fill my cup, and who are with people who are okay with me being who I am. I love this contrasting imagery of, you know, the sword and the vine coming from the dark, into the light, having this like becoming branches, the vine almost becoming like the sword becoming the plant and the vine becoming a thread. I think that's really beautiful. And in the grand scheme of this reading, it's like I'm just really being encouraged to be okay with not being okay. To, you know, to be okay with telling my own story. Instead of just being focused on the parts I play in other people's. And so if any of this was interesting or resonant for you, I don't have a ton of time right now, but if you want a reading, hit me up. And hopefully, like I said, like it brings you back to your practices. This was really meaningful for me. And I kind of like needed this funny internet accountability to like get off my ass and do it. So thank you if you made it this far for like listening to me talk about myself. I think that when I read tarot, again, when I'm teaching people tarot, when I'm reading tarot for others, it's so not about me. And it just felt really good to like turn the mirror back to myself, to offer myself integration and practices that I so readily offer other people. Anyways, happy solstice, happy summer. I'm gonna go.